is day 4 of a 7-day series that I'm doing on alchemy. And if I don't say so myself, the first 3 videos are freaking crazy magic cool. In fact, I'm actually thinking about grabbing these and editing them and turning them into like a mini course, because like what's coming through is so cool. But anyway, coming back to when I said magical markers, I invite you guys to have like a running inside your journal, or make it its own journal, like these moments where magic markers, where it's like, oh, that is a moment of magic. That is a moment where my capacity created something outside of what normally happens, or outside of this normal reality, if that makes sense. So for me, that like like what happens in Live Your Magic is like there's all kinds of magical markers that go on in there, but just in everyday life, like you had a thought that somebody was going to call and they did. These are simple, practical, magical markers. And why am I asking you to do that? Because what you focus on expands. So you focus on the magic that is all around and inside of us, and you actually begin to create more of that. How does it get better than that? But I digress. Okay. So ongoing journal, magical marker journal. By the way, if magic is happening when you're in the room, you had something to do with it. So that anything that's kind of magical or mystical is like, yeah, that's like being participated in. Okay. So why is it, and we've talked about this a lot in metaphysics, or, in personal growth and development, is that, how about if we learn through joy now? How about if we just like kind of let go of needing to learn through the darkness or learn through the pain? But it has been a very, very useful tool for us, this pain and darkness and refiner's fire. And we're in a refiner's fire of sorts right now. The interesting thing about refiner's fire is everybody can, based on how you're perceiving the refiner's fire, is how your journey is going to go, essentially, right? And so, there's some people, their refiner's fire looks like this. Ah! And some people, the refiner's fire looks like, ah! And some of us are accordion types, are like, wah, 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 wah. Okay. So, but nonetheless, it is a pressure that takes us out of our current reality to allow us to point to the more true nature of being, which is outside of time and space, which is outside of this reality. Okay, so then the question becomes, do we need pain? Do we need pressure? Do we need darkness? Is it actually beautiful instead of horrible, right? And I think that how we use any pain, right? Like we can use it in a way that it becomes beautiful, and we can use it in a way where it's tragic, And something that is very interesting, I just listened to a video from, his name is Jamie Smart of Clarity Coaching. He's one of the main coaches that does the inside out understanding of coaching, which Michael Neal is another guy that I follow that does that. But basically the premise of this work is that that there is this innate well-being beyond thought, beyond feeling, beyond anything. And that aspect of us knows what's happening. The mind will always spin and chatter, and which is the interpretation of, the mind is just interpreting things. It's not really, relevant in a certain way. It just is our, 2 cents of what's happening. And that anytime we're upset, it's because of our thinking. It's not because of what's real. Okay. So even right now, Eckhart Tolle talks about this a lot in The Power of Now. But even right now, like when you leave thought, is there any kind of problem? Actually write this in this 10 seconds. Like, do you have a roof over your head? And even if you don't have a roof over your head, are you actually like okay, right? Outside of your thinking, right? Outside of that construct, what's happening. So when you come to these experiences, or what I would call aha moments, right? So sometimes we're going along, we're reading something, we're watching something, and we have this sort of mystical experience, right? Where we kind of leave time and space for a moment, and we realize that what's out there is less real than what's in here. Okay. So the thing that I was wanted to quote Jamie Smart about is I was watching a video of his today, and he was citing a scientific experiment, and I did not know that this existed. So there's this huge amount of research on psychedelics in the States that the research was suppressed for many, many years because drugs are bad. And one of the things I think that's really super interesting is that, they're using psychedelics to heal addictions, to heal depression and anxiety and things like that. So what do I mean by psychedelics? Like specifically mushrooms and ayahuasca. And this was so interesting because for those of you who know me, I have been for 25 years, I have been exploring consciousness, exploring what creates, I would say in specific to consciousness, I've been exploring what it is that creates transformation, that takes people from one state of living and being to another. That's what I think transformation is. Okay. And to that end, I've put myself through every kind of grand experiment you could imagine to see what actually works. And as soon as I find something that actually works, I am like the town crier. I go around saying, oh my God, you got to try this thing. Be it Rapid Eye, be it a program I did years ago called The Awakening, be it the work of Gang Katie Hendricks. These are some, this body of work called Alchemy that's very, very profound and magical. The Inside Out Understanding, Access Consciousness, like you name it, I've done it. Okay, so, and for years, I have been like, okay, like there's like, it's almost like everything I've ever learned about kind of took me so far. And then there was like this thing that I hit up against, and I was like, okay, like there's something else. I can't move the dial anymore with this particular modality. I can't move the dial. Like, what the hell, right? So I'd go looking for something else, which is really awesome because it really, I feel like I've been the scavenger hunter of consciousness for 25 years. And like, okay, what creates transformation? What helps transformation? Also because in the world of healing, every body is so unique and individual that they need different things at different times. And there's the one thing I know for sure after working with tens of thousands of people over the years, I wonder if I've worked with 100,000 people. That's an interesting thought. I know for sure I've worked with enough people to touch 100,000 people. I don't know. Let's see. But I worked with a lot of people. I've done literally tens of thousands of sessions, right? And no matter what modality I was using, the moment of transformation, so this is alchemy. I change from one state to another, okay? The moment of transformation occurs outside of time and space. And it doesn't matter what modality I'm using. And sometimes no modality was necessary. And I talk about that in one of these videos of this period of time of probably 2 months ish, where I lived in this state of light, and literally everything I touched turned to gold. Like everything I touched changed. I would sit down and I would look at somebody and their whole lives would change. Like it was this very, it was like, I think it's, what a lot of people describe in their psychedelic experiences, right? Or what people describe, like, when Buddha describes his awakening, when Christ, the resurrection, it's like this space outside of time and space where everything is possible that wasn't possible before. What creates that? Now, the good news is that, we're not at a place where very many people are living there. And I feel like, I feel like I was shown that place so I would know that that possibility existed. And I feel like I've spent my life trying to get back to that place. That was about 22 years ago ish, 23 years ago ish. And, I've been like, here's a confession. Like I was thinking that it was the modality. Now I've known that it wasn't. Like I remember when I first learned Rapid Eye, the very, very futurist, very profound, prophetic founder of Rapid Eye, Renee Johnson, said, she said that Rapid Eye is just like a training tool. She said, there will be a day that you will look somebody in the eyes and their lives will change. Transformation will occur because you realize the power of your own consciousness. And every modality, every tool is until we learn the power of our own consciousness. And that would explain some things, because people got results in my Rapid Eye room that they weren't getting with other Rapid Eye people. And it didn't matter what modality I ever did, that I got certain things happen that weren't happening for other people. And initially, I think that happened because I just had so much faith in the power of transformation. Not so much in me, but in what was coming through me, And I was I was too dumb, really. And it's interesting because when I've been asking this question for a really long time, and I feel like I got the awareness today. So stay with me. I know I'm kind of going around a little bit, but like what I'm going to share with you on this is, like, for me, it's a game changer. It's so profound. Okay. You guys gotta, I don't know if you'll be as excited as me, but this was a game changer for me. So, I've wondered for many, many years. In the beginning of my Rapid Eye practice, I had, I would say a half a dozen, maybe a dozen, like absolute total miracles where people healed from things they shouldn't have healed from, like life-threatening illnesses. I brought somebody back from the middle of a heart attack, like crazy ass shit. And I just believed and I trusted, and I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. And as I progressed and I figured, I was like, I better figure out what I'm doing so I can replicate it in a certain way. Knowing what I was doing became a inhibitor to the miraculous. Now, I would say that my clients still got a lot of results, and the tools are really awesome. Please don't hear I'm making tools wrong, because again, tools are the bridge. Tools are the training wheels to consciousness. And, but it's always been in the times where I didn't know what the hell was happening and what the hell I was doing. But I freaking showed up and said, I'm doing this. Let's do this. We can do this. I can do this. We can do this. Who can do this? Whatever, right? And that the miracles happened. And it's almost always during times of stress or where my normal reality wasn't in operation for whatever reason. You know, whether I broken up with somebody, my parents died, an illness, whatever. And so, but I've also been asking the question, do we need this pain to get out of our normal reality? And by the way, why do you want to get out of the normal reality? This is it. Okay, so back to the science. Okay, you guys, okay, most of you on here know me, and you know I have to meander a little bit because there's threads of information coming from a lot of places, and it's going to come together in a moment. I promise. Stay with me, boys and girls. Stay with me. Okay. What tornadoes? Okay. Carol. Oh, hi. I haven't seen you forever. Janine, good morning. We think we may have read different editions of the Bible. Yeah, that's probably true. They have a very specific Bible that we read out of. I am probably the 6D thing that has my reality ATM right. Okay, cool. A lot of hi. Hi. Magical markers, Cheryl. Hi. No, he's not related to Maxwell. You're happy? There's no illness, only ill bodies. Yes, this is the Matrix, right? There is no spoon. That's why I can bend. You were given a glimpse of the future so you'd recognize it, maybe. Love it. It's called the Megan effect. In a certain way it is. Because you have a Sue effect, and Margaret has the Margaret effect, and Maruna has the Maruna effect. Hi, Maruna. Marion has the Marion effect. Renee has the Renee effect, right? Okay, so here we go. So all the modalities, all the spiritual paths are just pointers to the reality of who we are. Yes. And that's why it doesn't fucking matter, right? Like if you believe in your modality, I had this awareness many, many years ago. So the modality I think kind of is the slowest and works the least is affirmations, right? I think it's really clunky, but it's what we had 25 years ago. We were all doing it, okay? We were doing whatever it took to create some transformation. And I was speaking at this event, and the woman before me, I was the main speaker, and the warm-up person was doing this whole thing about affirmations. It's how she changed her whole life with affirmations. And I was like, oh no, because like part of how I work as a speaker, especially when I'm doing an event with other speakers, is I really try to tie in and honor and acknowledge the other speakers in a certain way. And I was like, how am I going to do this? Because I think affirmations are crap. But they worked until they didn't, right? In a certain way. But then I noticed it's like, oh my God, she just had so much integrity. She had truly changed every aspect of her life through affirmations. And I was like, whoa, how did she do that? And I was like, oh, she was freaking determined to change her life. And it didn't matter what the tool was, that innate like desire to change, to transform, to alchemize her life and her situation. She was given one tool and used the one tool like crazy, like, you know, till her fingers bled. She was doing affirmations, right? Like think about what she could have done with questions or some of the other tools that I think click in terms of the quicker access to what we're trying to get access to. So, so anyway, I was like, wow, that was another moment of it's not the tool. It's the one using the tool, right? The tool is just the tool. I don't care what your tools are, right? Is your tool giving you access to the consciousness that is beyond this reality? Is your tool giving you access to that place that's beyond? Okay, so why am I saying that? Okay, why am I saying this? Let's do it anyway. Julie Brown, downtown Julie Brown. Hi, babe. How you do? Okay. Hi, Suzanne. Did you know I was on here today? You're going to love this. I'm on a roll. Okay, so wait for it, boys and girls. Wait for it. Okay, so so in these psychedelic experiments, okay, one of the things that they studied, they said when the psychedelics work to change a pattern, an addiction, a depression, an anxiety, whatever it is, okay, it is because they had a mystical experience. In every situation where it changed, they had a mystical experience. Okay, stay with me. Because every modality has the potential of transferring us over to the mystical. Okay? It doesn't always, right? Sometimes mystical experiences come when you're driving down the road and you see something beautiful and you just, something opens you up and it's like, oh my God, this world is so beautiful. And I don't know why I'm crying because like those moments are just amazing. I think I was remembering a moment where I looked up and saw the mountains when I was really, really depressed one day and it just was like, just opened up for me, right? So the science has created an empirical scale to describe the essence of a mystical experience. What are my non-honorable? Well, thank you, dear. Sarah, I haven't seen you on one of my lives forever. I'm glad you're loving this because you maybe that's why, because you're somebody who I know knows this. This is why people freaking love Burning Man, is because it's this whole universe that's created outside of time and space and this reality, essentially. So people are having mystical experiences all the time. Well, they're also taking a lot of psychedelics, often. Although, you know, on my first Burning Man, I didn't take anything and I had amazing mystical experiences because I was in a world that was so far out of what we call reality. And what we call reality, as we know, isn't really real. So like the Matrix, all of that, we are essentially, and I'm going to use Jamie Smart's metaphor here. I'm going to steal it for a minute. And what he said is that we're basically the screen that the movie's being projected on. And it doesn't really matter what the movie is. It could be a romantic movie. It could be a horror. It could be whatever. But the screen doesn't go, oh my God, this is too much, right? Ever. The screen is just a screen. It's just this space through which this movie is projected through, right? So coming in, when we have these moments of this opening and this space from reality, we tap this consciousness that is beyond this time and space. Okay, that's what we're calling the mystical experience. But I wanted to share with you the scientific evidence or the qualities they use to evaluate whether one has had a mystical experience. You guys ready? Because you are repeating a mystical experience. That is why you are crying. Thanks, Margaret. You know what? Thank God for you people because you kind of help me like fill in the blanks, right? And we can do this without any help at all. Yes, absolutely. And yes, and that happens all the time, actually, like just in everyday living, right? If you notice that there's these moments where we kind of leave time and space, right? The reason for classes and transformation and tools and, you know, like I'm looking at you, Margaret, so medicine wheels and everything else is it creates an environment where mystical experiences are more likely to occur. Because it's not the modality, it's the mystical experience that actually changes because we tap the consciousness that we are that is more powerful than anything or anyone. Okay, here it is. Here are the three main qualities of a mystical experience. You guys ready? You thought it was just your big tender heart making you cry? Hi, Mary. Good morning, Mary. This is what I've been pondering this morning. So get it. Number one, quality of mystical experience, dissolution of time and space. Dissolution of time and space. So yeah, it's all of a sudden it's like we pop out of having like a time moment and see when people do like this happens when people do live your magic. They like time and space kind of goes away, or like the awakening, like some of you are listening have been to, or like in an access event where we're in the state of when we're in having a oneness experience where we go wah, right? Or again, walking down the road, right? So we can create environments where those mystical experiences are more likely to happen, and we can just cultivate our lives in such a way as they're more likely to happen, right? So psychedelics work not because of the psychedelic, but because we're more likely to leave time and space in a psychedelic. There we go. There we go. So number two, and this is extensive research, right? Is a sense of connection to everyone else. So this is part two of a mystical experience, of the empirical, scientific way to describe mystical, right? And the third thing is that you're having a noetic experience, which is, it was coined by William James, and it's where we fall out of our maps and models and fall into the truth of the moment. Okay, again, we fall out of our maps and models and fall into the truth of the moment. So we know how we talk about, well, I talk a lot about of like, and it's so funny. I talk a lot about it because I have such a Howie brain, it's like, oh, how am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? Right. But that's a map, that's a model. And like, when I look back at everything that's taken off, I freaking don't know how. All I know is that I created something that was out of time and space. I just did it. I just went, pull it out, like for those of you who are on the Beyond Trauma acoustic transmission with Janine, that's one of those things that just like went, like I felt an energy. I had no idea what would happen. I knew it was profound, and I put it out, and like 120 people signed up. It was like poof. I don't know how, because I've put something out before in exactly the same way, not having that. And I can't even explain in a certain way why the transmissions are having such a profound effect on people, but they are. Okay. If you're just hearing about this for the first time, you can PM me. You can still get the replays of the call. There's a part 2 coming up, but you have to have done 1 and 2. It's just on donation, not a big fee. But I digress. So when you get out of time and space, when you have a sense of connection to everything and everyone, I think that's what beauty does for us. Beauty somehow takes us out of time and space, connects us to everything that is. But here's the thing about the noetic experience. So we fall out of our maps and models and fall into the truth of the moment. Okay? The unreal is even more true than everyday life. And we know it. When we're in that moment of the unreal, we know it's truer than everything that we've bought, that everything we think, that any map, any model that we've ever had. Okay? And that even though we can't prove it, we know it's a knowing, it's not a proving. We know it's more real than that out there, right? And when you come back to the present, you still know it's more true. So when you come back to this reality, and we do, right? We come back into our thinking and our Howie brains, and what is my map, and what do I think is true, and all of that, and everybody's putting out their wares, and like, this is the way, this is the thing that works, this is the thing that gets you business, this is the thing that makes you transform, blah 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 blah. Awesome. I've done it for 25 years. Whoop. And what I know is that everything that I've sought out tends to create mystical experiences. Like, I freaking had no idea that Live Your Magic would be what it was. I just was following this energy, and the first Live Your Magic just went boom, 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 because I created an environment where magic was more likely to happen. And that's what I mean by magic, by the way, boys and girls, is that when we leave the time and space reality for the more real reality, where everything is possible and everything I touch can turn to gold. And what I find is that people innately know this. We know this. That's why people go to the Harry Potter movies. That's why people were drawn to the Live Your Magics, is they innately know that magic and miracles is more real than this reality. So I told you I was going to come back. So do you remember at the beginning when I was saying that, it is said that transformation or awakening really only can happen in a state of stress or pain, or like this refiner's fire. Yes, that is one way it knocks us out of our reality. This pandemic, has knocked us out of our everyday reality, has knocked us out of our everyday life. And it's a little stressful, right? But it's done its job, because we're not in Kansas anymore. And so what's available right now is, in terms of the mystical, the magical, the stuff that really transforms anything and everything, is here now. And my interesting point of view is we can't waste this, you guys. We're being given this space outside of time and space for us to really tap these other places. And yeah, there's fear, and yeah, there's all of that. But have you guys noticed that there's these moments where you go, not only is this okay, but this is actually better than okay, because we've taken our maps of how life is, how it's supposed to go. This pandemic, this little virus, has taken all of our maps and gone, because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know. So this is the possibility of a lifetime in terms of tapping the mystical, tapping the miraculous, tapping that which transforms one thing to another. Do you guys make sense? So back to transformation. And this is also what I'm calling alchemy, which is why this is called the alchemical experiments, the adventures in alchemy, is that we're looking at what does it take to change from one thing to another, or to create something from nothing, okay? It's anything that has us leave the maps of this reality and tap the consciousness that we are, okay? So it doesn't matter if you like to do the psychedelic path, awesome. If you like to do workshops, awesome. You like to do access, you like to do Native American, you like to do whatever you like to do. And who can we be to tap the mystical, to tap the magical, that can turn anything into gold? Like, no matter what. What? Okay, I have to see what you guys are saying to me. What are you saying to me? You are so on it about the current moment being out of time and space, right? It really is. It really is. Okay. Not in Samantha, not in Kansas. is a portal to a magical new reality. Yes. So we are at a portal. This is why people are drawn to you as well as Harry Potter. Thank you, Merritt. Yes, it's the Megan effect, right? Because for whatever reason, I am willing to not know a lot. Like, I'm willing to show up on a live and not know what the F I'm going to say and let it come through. And this is something that I've been talking about as a theme in these videos. If you're just seeing this video, guys, this is video 4. We've been having so much fun. You got to look up 1, 2, and 3. It's all on this page. Yesterday's video on gold, I'm telling you, you wanna step up your economy? Check that out. That was poof. We did some freaking poof and magic, right? So, and this is true of like Dane talks about that consciousness meandering. Dane here, the founder of Access Consciousness, one of the founders or creators, is that we're going along, and then all of a sudden we hit this place that is beyond time and space. I just listened to a little quip from an Abraham video last night that said basically all creation is a rendezvous, where we actually ask the universe and then we shift our vibration until we can rendezvous, i.e. match the vibration of what we're asking for. And so I think we rendezvous with these mystical experiences because we're going along. And I had a little bit of construct today, right? I had this idea of these 3 empirical pieces of scientific data about what constitutes a mystical experience. So I had a little bit of a scaffolding and I've been zipping around. But haven't you noticed that there have been moments in this live where we've hit the mystical, where we've hit this place outside of time and space, that moment that I was describing, a mystical experience. And the mystical experience I was describing was actually a general mystical experience. I've had many experiences with nature and with beauty that way. And so it tapped something, and I all of a sudden was in that mystical space of, again, why do we want to get there? Because every freaking thing is possible. So when we dream at night, okay, when you are dreaming at night, and you become cognizant, you become aware that you're dreaming, what happens? Have you guys ever done that? It's such a powerful state because your unconscious and conscious actually have come together. And then you have all of your resources to create. So there is people that do, for lack of a better word, they do lucid dreaming, and they practice lucid dreaming. And why is that? Because if you can create it in that lucid state in your dreams, you can create it in this. We can become lucid in this dream over here, and we begin to create it over there. So when you become lucid in your dreams and you know you're dreaming, it's like, oh shit, okay, I'm dreaming. All right, I can fly. The rules of time and space don't matter. And I have all potential available to me. Right? I can fly, I can teleport, I can go see somebody who's dead, I can do all this stuff. And the same is true in this reality. When we awake, when we become lucid and we come into the mystical, anything and everything is possible to change and alter. And this is why certain things, certain modalities or whatever tend to feel like they work better, but they don't work for everybody all the time. Why? Because they always take people out of time and space. And we can't predict that. We can create environments where that is likely to happen. And this is why spells are so cool. This is why workshops are so cool. This is why, we do the things that we do. And some people who use psychedelics as their practice, it's really just to get outside of time and space. Because when we do, there's the magic right there. Right? So this series is about cultivating that awareness, cultivating that knowing. Like, we are outside of time and space. We are outside of our normal reality right now. and like what is available to us. We can hang out in fear and grasping the old reality because, all right, that could be a good time, right? Like, but you're just going to avoid what's possible. Like, okay, so hopefully I won't get arrested. But of course, I've done psychedelic experience in facilitated environments that were designed to do personal growth and development. Okay, or it was for that reason. I've also done it other ways. Shh. Don't say anything. Don't tell anybody. So, and some of them are way more transformative than others, right? And it's like awesome. And then I do things like rapid eye. I do things like access. I do things like energy work, because energy work takes us outside of the time and space, and it points in the direction of where our true capacities and true superpowers are. So I think sometimes for me when I do energy work, and what if we could just ask to be available for the mystical and the magical? The more you fight to hold on to your metered reality, metered, right? It's like, okay, well, I wake up and I do this, and then I go here, and then I do this. The more we cling to the known, the less available we have to the mystical, right? To the magical, to the alchemical parts of us. So my invitation is for us to let go today and to ask the universe, like, what would it take for me to have the Midas touch? What would it take for everything I touch to turn to gold? What would it take for me to tap the more real, the mystical, the magical realm where anything and everything is possible? What would that require? Who can I be? What can I choose? And follow the energy. Because what I was given to know all those many years ago when I lived in the light for 2 months is that it doesn't, I don't want to say it. I was given to know that it was a space that you could live in. It's not something that only has to happen for little moments at a time, that actually it could be a space of living. So I believe that we are in the age of miracles and magic. And that means that we can live there for longer periods of time. And I don't know for how much longer, right? That we will pop into the mystical and we will have these powers and these capacities. And by the way, the power is always there, the capacity is always there. And that's why when I didn't even freaking know what the hell I was doing, miracles were happening in my space because I was willing to show up. I was willing to show up and be the change, even when I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And even when I did know what the hell I was doing. And sometimes it was more potent than others. But my interesting point of view is you just keep showing up. A really good friend of mine recently asked me in a training, he said, Megan, he said, how have you done or become what you have? Like, what brought you here? And people were like, oh no, this is going to be a long talk. But it really wasn't. Let me tell you how long the talk was, 2 seconds. And my answer was, I keep saying yes to the shit I think I can't do. Sure, that's what I keep doing. Why? Because it takes me into the unknown. Why? Because what I know for sure is that showing up is the key component to the mystical. You got to show up. Whatever process you're doing, whatever tool you're doing, whatever thing you're doing, whatever it is that you're creating, dude, you got to show up. You got to show up. Keep showing up. Keep showing up. That's the most magical, mystical thing you can do, because if you show up and you look up and there's beauty, then you might have a mystical experience. If you show up in your meditation, if you show up in your Sundance, if you show up in whatever, then you are more likely to have those experiences. You're more likely to cultivate it. But that is what awakening is when we really realize that there's this space and place that is more real than that external map, that external that external model for life and living. So, what would it take for you to be available for the mystical today? What would it take for you to be available for your magic today? What would it take for everything you touch to turn to gold? I'm just wondering. I'm going to wrap up here. Because I have a client in a couple minutes. I went on, didn't I? Oh, it is the miracle we've been asking for. Can't you feel the special energy flow now? Yes, I can, Carol. Yeah, absolutely. When I'm not doing this thing, yes. And even sometimes when I'm in that thing, I'm like, I know better. I can feel it. So, yeah. We all were tired, needed a break. Everyone complained we needed a vacation. Yes, what we need a vacation from is our reality as we know it. The universe said, yes, here's a long rest. Yes. And it's not, yes, it is a rest. It is a rest, but it's also like an environment where the mystical is more likely to occur. That not knowing has always been your genius. Thank you, Carol. Let me say it this way. It's a not knowing, right? So it's like, I have a knowing because my being knows, your being knows exactly what's going on right now. It's part of what has created what's going on right now. And it's always there. And it's always chilling and happy and potent as F. Okay. And then when I say I don't know, it's here, right? It's like, I don't know. And that's one of the things that I think makes me unique as a facilitator, because I go in and I have very little schedule. I have very little. There's a couple of things I'm like, okay, I want to talk about this or we'll talk about this. And this, I kind of want to do this process, but how it shows up is I'm always following the energy. I'm always looking to see what's next from the place of the unknown. The rendezvous. Yes, Margaret. In fact, I think it's yesterday's audio infusion in Creating with Kindness has a rendezvous meditation. You'll like it. Lucid dreaming. Yes, love it. Yeah, lucid dreaming is cool because I believe what we're trying to achieve, and back to the lucid dreaming thing, is that the lucidity, by practicing lucid dreaming, the idea is that we start becoming more lucid here. We start actually coming out of this dream here, right? Megan is like watching a child discovering something exciting for the first time. I know, and you guys are all here while I discover it. It's so exciting. Look, look, Mom. No hands. Woo! I knew I was dreaming, so I absolutely. What a special birthday gift. Thank you, Megan. It's your birthday, Sue. Happy birthday, Sue, dear. Happiness will come to you all year. If I had a wish that it might be a happy birthday from me to you. That didn't rhyme, but it's okay because I love you. Be your magic today, girl. Samantha, time of space beyond. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Okay. So as I'm flying a spaceship around as I listen to you. Yes, Sue's a gamer. That's freaking awesome. Yeah, you let your head, as magnificent it is, get out of the way. I know. And that's the thing that's been difficult about life for me. Is that the most magical things I do, I have no head. And then I get in my life and I put my head to it. Dum. That is not very smart. Okay, so the good news is that the corona has come to the rescue and it said, I am going to take care of your mind because you're not going to get this. And let's see what you do with that. Okay, cool. So today's experiment is to make yourself available to talk to the universe about, hey, what makes me more available to the mystical? What makes me more available to my power and my capacities and my magic? Okay, so tomorrow's schedule, we are on at 4 p.m. Mountain Time tomorrow. Sunday will be at 10 a.m. and then Monday will be at 4 p.m. So 7 days in a row of alchemy. Today was day 4. We rocked day 4, people. Thanks for coming. Please share this with other people because I'm just here having a conversation. The more of you show up and engage, the more that the deeper I can go. And let's see what kind of magic we can tap and alchemy and power we can tap to accelerate the awakening that's happening right now. Come play, bring your friends. I'll be here tomorrow. Mwah.